Jericho, we're on the go, ladies, aren't we?
We're gals on the go.
I mean, we're moving around. We're just not moving around right now because this podcast wouldn't sound very good. And in between podcasts and travel and meetings at the office and writing books and planning conferences, I need snacks because I don't like who I am when I'm hungry. And that's why I love Kind bars. They are super tasty, super healthy, and right now you can try 10 different Kind bars for free, and all you pay for is shipping. So right now when you sign up for the sample box with Kind, you also get to try Kind's Snack Club, where you'll receive monthly snacks at a discount and get members-only bonuses. So it comes with a wide variety of Kind snacks, including their fruit, nut, and chocolate bars, pressed fruit bars, and even a sweet and spicy bar. I like them all, but my favorite is the dark chocolate, nuts, and sea salt. But you can try 10 different kinds, you know, kind of like trying on glasses with Warby Parker or something. And you get to try them for free, which is crazy. So if you want some free food from Kind, go to kindsnacks.com/girlboss. You shouldn't have to choose between your health and things tasting good. So visit kindsnacks.com/girlboss to get your free sample box. That's kindsnacks.com/girlboss, kindsnacks.com/girlboss. Get your free sample box and tell me what's your favorite. Success. It's such a complicated idea, and yet for so long we've all collectively subscribed to a single definition of the word, which was likely given to us by a white-haired dude somewhere in a boardroom in the 1960s. And there's nothing wrong with that definition, with the notion of climbing a corporate ladder with a singular focus. But it's time to make space for a few other definitions, for side hustles and well-being and failing forward, and for the idea that success is a wild ride, not the destination at the end of it. Join me for a journey into the lives of women who are redefining success and paving the way for others with grit and grace. I'm Sophia Amoruso, the founder and CEO of Girl Boss Media, and this is Girl Boss Radio. Whitney Cummings is not only one of the funniest people you'll ever meet, she's also incredibly smart, super self-aware, hardworking, and a great friend. She offers brilliantly witty observations about relationships, sex, and life in general, both over text when I'm constantly asking her advice, and in her new book, I'm Fine and Other Lies. She normalizes the awkward and makes outcasts like us, which we all are, let's just face it, feel like insiders, and puts her own insecurities on display, not only for the sake of the joke, but also to let the rest of us know we're not alone.
And once I learned, like, vulnerability is actually not a weakness. It's incredibly courageous. It's a strength. And nobody gets mad at you when you're vulnerable. People actually like you more. And they go, oh, thank you for saying that. And you create this, like, safe space, you know? And so it kind of got addictive, this whole, like, telling the truth thing.
Whitney grew up on the East Coast in the D.C. area. She graduated from University of Pennsylvania at lightning speed before moving to L.A. to pursue her dreams.
Certainly in the beginning, I had to, like, beg, borrow, steal, and manipulate people to get chances to do things.
She's only in her mid-30s and has already had hit TV shows, movies, books, and a very successful stand-up career.
Love is just like, don't be stupid. You know, little things. Like, if you love me, let me wake up before you start having sex with me. Can I get some gum? Can you just give me a set? This isn't prison. I'm gonna say yes.
Today, we'll dig into her psyche to talk about why she wrote her latest book, I'm Fine and Other Lies. Within its pages are mountains of stories about what Whitney describes as her most embarrassing moments. Stories, she said, were too embarrassing even for stand-up.
People were, like, coming up to me on the street crying, like, I have that. I had no idea there was a name for it. Like, thank you so much for bringing it to my attention. I was like, why don't I, if this is helping people, why don't I write a book about it?
We'll hear about the challenges she has faced and talk about how she views success and what it means to her. But first, turn your attention over here to my partner in crime, my ride or die, editorial director at Girl Boss, Jericho Mandybar.
Hi.
Jericho, hi.
How's it going?
I like your hair today.
In pigtails?
It's like, yeah, but your hair's so curly, it's like Mickey ears, kind of.
I can't even tell what it is. It's just a mess.
It's just maybe your head's that shape.
Yeah.
So, as usual, we've been producing some, what should be award-winning content, and will be someday.
Where's our Pulitzer?
At girlboss.com. Tell me about something that our audience loved this week.
Story about self-care. Surprise.
Surprise.
Something we all need more of. And it was contributed by Alicia Ramos, who is the founder of Girls Night In, which is a really adorable newsletter.
I love Girls Night In.
Yeah, so she wrote about how to self-care better if you're a freelancer or a founder, just somebody who works from home, which you have obviously done yourself. And I don't know, maybe you found that you didn't have strong enough boundaries or the ability to say no or walk outside and get some fresh air and stuff like that.
Working from home seems like a dream until you work from home. Unless you are a very, very disciplined person who says, I'm going to get up and walk after this long, or I'm going to take a shower to start my day, or maybe brush my teeth, or even wash my face, or not just work from bed and eat from bed and do everything from bed, which, depending on what you do from home is very possible. I became, my hygiene went way downhill when I was doing eBay. Nasty gal eBay from home. And, it was pretty disgusting. There was days where I just wouldn't get dressed, days on end where I was wearing this, very matronly, pink bathrobe, pink terry cloth bathrobe. And my poor boyfriend at the time, he called it the sad bunny outfit because it was, I guess,
it's really sad.
I don't know a pink bunny. Let me know if you meet one. But does she have any revelations or advice?
Well, it's basically just to listen to yourself, and about what you need. You have all these negative thoughts in your head stressing you out. I have to do this, I have to do that. Acknowledge those, forgive them, bow to them, let them go, and then think about really, really simple things that, it's almost counterintuitive to think about them and plan them because it's the kind of stuff that you should be doing every day, but then you find yourself not even showering, so you kind of have to plan them out. So set aside time to not look at a screen, no phone screens, no computer screens, even if it's just half an hour, or make sure that when you get up in the morning, it's at a time that if you had an office job, you would be in the office. So shower, get ready, put a full outfit on, and then sit down to work, just little things like that. Also, focus on one thing every day. So if you're stressing out about multitasking and feeling like you're going to have to work a 15-hour day because there's too much to do, just focus on one thing at a time. Today I'm going to do my accounting and literally just do that. Simplify.
There's this app that I think could really help with that if focus is an issue or you want to divide up, how you're spending your time throughout the day. There's an app called Tide. Mm-hmm. It's just TIDE. And, I wish this was sponsored by them, but it's not. And you can select the length of time that you want to be focused. And if you navigate on your phone away from the app, it is ding, 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 ding. It freaks out. And so, but you can choose these great sounds. And I was on a flight recently just to, not really listen to music, but still also not hear babies crying. And, was listening to this.
That's nice.
This is my favorite one.
I could get into that, except you might need to go to the toilet after a while.
I always have to go to the toilet, but this is just so nice to be on a flight. Anyway, but it times you, and if you can, it's amazing what you can get done even in 30 minutes if you're not jumping around to multiple tabs or checking your phone. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's my advice.
Totally. And I would just add to that, check your email 3 times a day. Maximum if you find emails too distracting, because everybody feels I got this email in my inbox, I have to respond immediately. You don't.
Yeah, no, you don't. Also, I should mention before we get into this interview with Whitney Cummings that I'm so excited for is that the Girl Boss Rally is coming back.
Yes.
We had our first conference event rally in March of this year with 500 amazing women. It's getting a little bigger even. Mm-hmm. And we're coming to Brooklyn on November 11th. Tickets are on sale now at girlbossrally.com. Hopefully by the time this episode goes live, we're not sold out. Or maybe hopefully we are sold out. And if we are, I'm very sorry that I told you to go buy tickets.
But you can get digital tickets.
You can get digital tickets only after we sell out.
Yeah. I guess we'll see.
We'll see. So we have some great speakers. It's a full day of programming. It is basically a Noah's Ark of ambitious women in one room together, self-selecting, just, incredible, smart, curious, self-aware women who want to learn and share what they know with one another. And we have some great speakers, and you can find everything you need to know about the Girl Boss Rally out at girlbossrally.com. And then also I'll just mention I have a book coming out. It's called The Girl Boss Workbook. You can find it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or really anywhere books are sold. Pre-order it, and I'll love you forever.
You can vandalize it.
You can,
in a good
yeah,
way.
you're supposed to doodle in it. Mm-hmm. It's a very, very illustrated, interactive book. Jericho,
Yeah.
I want to talk about Squarespace.
Love it.
I love Squarespace. They've been such a great partner to us. They've been advertising. They've been a partner of Girl Boss Radio for, I think as long as this podcast has existed. They were part of the first Girl Boss Rally. And our website is hosted on Squarespace.
Mm-hmm.
Who to thunk? It's
Look at it.
It's beautiful and custom, and we're publishing, a dozen stories a day on it, and the user interface for the back-end admin is really
so easy to use. It's really like dragging and dropping, and it has really nice fonts. It's the best. I've used a lot of CMSs in my time, and let me tell you, Squarespace is super easy.
If you don't know what a CMS is, it's
a content management system.
Yeah, it's just the back end of like how you put the content together on the website, but it's largely used in like publishing, I guess. So you can build any kind of website with Squarespace. If you're a photographer, if you have an online store, if you just want a parking spot, if you want to have like a beautiful resume, or just, at this point everyone should probably have their own website.
I reckon.
Even if you're just putting yourself out there, haven't done a lot. I highly recommend Squarespace. And when you're ready to do that, head over to squarespace.com and use the code GIRLBOSS for 10% off. You can choose beautiful templates created by world-class designers that you can customize with just a few easy clicks. And plus, they set you up with something you need to track your growth, host your site, and optimize for mobile right out of the box. So sign up at squarespace.com, that's SQUARESPACEE.com, and use code GIRLBOSS for 10% off. Oh, ShipStation, how I love thee.
What is it?
Well, it's for making ship happen. And, so ShipStation is a service that allows you to ship any of your online orders on the go super quickly and easily. You can manage it from their iPhone or Android app. It integrates with Shopify, Squarespace, Etsy, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, or over 75 other popular selling channels. And all of your orders end up in this one simple, beautiful interface. And then you can create shipping labels. And then you can slap them on your stuff, but it will find the best rate for you from UPS, FedEx, USPS, and you'll spend less time shipping. So no wonder ShipStation is the #1 choice of online sellers. And right now, for Girl Boss Radio listeners, you can try ShipStation free for 30 days. And you get an additional month free only if you use our exclusive promo code GIRLBOSS. Don't wait. Go to ShipStation.com, and before you do anything else, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Girl Boss. That's ShipStation.com, ShipStation.com. Enter Girl Boss. ShipStation. Make ship happen. Now I'd like to introduce you to a friend of mine. She's beautiful, she's creative, she's talented, she's funny, she's self-aware, she's dark, sometimes she's fucked up. Actor, comedian, writer, Whitney Cummings. What was your first job?
First job, like in the business or
No.
in general? Oh, God. Okay, so do you know a company called Blue Mercury?
Yes.
The cosmetic company.
Yes.
It was initially this woman in Georgetown who started a company called Cosmetic Effects, and she was started this cosmetic company, and she would sell really fancy lotions and oils and creams and shit that nobody could afford. And I would have to call the companies and lie about why the bills hadn't been paid for the merchandise and clean up her dog shit.
Oh.
Yeah. That was my first.
Was that in D.C.?
That was in D.C. Yeah.
You grew up in D.C.
Yeah.
So how'd you get out of D.C.?
I left. I took a train like J.C. Chapman. I got a fast car, and I went to Philadelphia.
did you go to college?
I did. I went to Penn in Philadelphia. And then I knew I wanted to come to Los Angeles and be a performer. So I came here like a couple summers before and started like interning at production companies. And I interned at E! Entertainment at a show that's no longer called Wild On E!
Oh,
it was like
that.
a travel show. And I used to go in and it was like models like going to like, Pensacola, Florida to like dance on beaches, and they go to like Lake Havasu and stuff. And I would have to go in and like when they would get wasted, I would have to go through the B-roll and like pixelate out their nipples like all night. Yeah. Watch the editor pixel out frame by frame.
Wow. That's like a kind of rude introduction to the entertainment world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all downhill from there.
And now you've done so many things because you're a writer, a director, a producer, a stand-up comic, an author. Where did you start after E?
After E, I came out here, and the first thing I did was that show called Punk'd on MTV. And it was like Ashton Kutcher did whatever. And so, but I started doing stand up. I started writing. It was like I was like auditioning as an actor, and like I was always like too tall or too weird. I had a agent at ICM tell me that I was too quirky to ever be a leading lady. And I like was doing commercials. Like I was just failing hard. And I just started writing scripts for shows that I liked, like Specs. And then I started doing stand up. Then I started writing for the Comedy Central roasts. And then I got like a couple little like movie parts, but I was just like, I was selling my clothes at Buffalo Exchange and doing focus groups for money and just like eating beef jerky. I remember I had $7 in my bank account for like 4 months, and I was just going to the Comedy Store trying to get open mic gigs. I was writing for other comedians also and just like hustling, like wherever I could. And then I finally did one of the Comedy Central roasts. And then I think that kind of things started popping.
I remember you showing up on Chelsea Lately.
Yeah, that's right.
So long ago.
Right. And I did Chelsea show a lot. Yeah.
And you were really funny.
Really?
That seemed like a hard show to do because you had to kind of talk over the other.
It was so interesting because it was right around the time where there was a lot of these sort of panel shows coming up where comedians, you're exactly right, had to like compete with each other for airtime. But we become comedians because we're like bad at sports and we want people to like us. And then
you're probably solo artists.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. And I'm codependent. So I don't want this comedian to be mad at me. I don't want to talk over them. I don't want to get more time than them. I don't want to be funnier than them or less funny, so that was always definitely very stressful. But
so I heard one of the roasts you did is with was Donald Trump's
Trump
roast?
Correct.
Oh my God. They need to re-air that.
Hand on my lower back. That
really?
move? Yeah. I think that's probably the least disgusting thing he's done to a woman. But that guy that just while they're talking to you, they have their hand on your like lower back.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what is this going to achieve?
How did that make you feel?
I mean, at the time I didn't really have like boundaries. I think I was at the time probably very flattered by it. Oh. I was definitely in shock when it happened because his like wife was there and whatever, but
what would you do now?
I probably wouldn't be doing the roasts, but I don't know. That's a really good question. I would do the windmill.
Was it a really small hand?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Just covered one vertebrae. just
right over, like just fit
a little spatula.
So gross, like that Kristen Wiig tiny hand character. I don't remember, but I think before the roasts, it's like you always felt so guilty about how brutal you were about to be to someone that you'd be like super saccharine and nice that I probably was like, sure, like molest me, whatever you need, because I'm about to make jokes about your small dick for 40 minutes, so
it's a fair trade-off.
Yeah, I think so too. But yes, they were re-airing it on Comedy Central for a while, but I think at this point it's kind of not funny anymore. It's more
no one's surprised.
Tragic.
Yeah, he's just going to use it. He's going to say it's fake news. The
insults that we said about him, which like you had to bleep, are actually too tame. Now. And yeah, after I did the roast, so basically like everything I feel like certainly in the beginning I had to like beg, borrow, steal, and manipulate people to get chances to do things like the first Comedy Central.
Offer up your lower back.
Yeah, anything. Offer up. I didn't have much going on.
Just present it.
Oh, yeah. Please. basically had written a bunch of roast jokes I was dying to get on the writing staff, and they said, we don't have women on the show. We've had the same guys writing for the Comedy Central roast forever. Like, she'll never get this job. So I basically wrote like 16 pages of horrific, offensive AIDS jokes about comedians I admire, and we just sent them in. And basically the executive producer was like, let's bring her in for a week because some of the writers wanted to use the jokes. And then I ended up writing for the show for like 3 years, and then finally like convinced them to let me do it. And then they gave me a special after that, a stand-up special. So that's when I did my first Comedy Central special.
What was that like?
At the time, it was before I was such a zombie back in my 20s. I was such a zombie. Like, I was just like, go, 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 and I wasn't present. I wasn't in my skin. I was kind of sleepwalking through life in a lot of ways. And I don't remember because I just was like so obsessed with like making it that while I didn't feel or process anything. Like, I look at my first special and I'm just like, I don't feel like I was processing what was happening or really present. I was just so obsessed with everything being perfect and saying everything perfectly and, getting the laughs that I wasn't really enjoying it. But it was definitely, exciting that I got to do an hour special, because that's every comic's dream. Once you do that, you can start making money on the road and touring as a comic, and that's all I ever wanted.
Comedy Central is definitely making an effort to put more female comedians on TV. In 2017, 35% of Comedy Central's half-hour specials were hosted by women, up from 8% in 2012. We'll get back to the conversation in just a minute, but first, let's talk about Daily Harvest is a bounty of incredible super nutrients straight to your doorstep. You can choose smoothies, activated breakfast bowls, or what they like to call nice cream vegan sundaes.
Cool.
Jericho.
Yeah, I'm into it.
This is so you.
This is all my favorite food groups. Bowls, smoothies, and vegan shit.
It's really good. We should just get together and maybe have 2 subscriptions set up at my house, or just have it come straight here to the podcast studio and slurp it up while we're talking. So each single serving cup from Daily Harvest comes ready to blend or heat. Cups are stored in the freezer, so they're ready whenever you are. Their produce is organic, it's unrefined, and it looks as amazing as it tastes. So if you really need to take a selfie with your food, or
Always.
Instagram, or pin your beautiful, healthy food to tell us how much you're taking care of yourself, which we are proud of you for, you can see all of the ingredients when you open up the cup. So basically, they freeze all their ingredients at peak freshness to seal in their nutritional value. So it's basically like chopping food up at your house, but just it takes you less time. It comes just as fresh as it would from the store. You just have to kind of blend it together or add water, and it's just ready in 30 seconds. So it's kind of like cup of noodles for that will make you better from the inside out. So go to daily-harvest.com and enter promo code GIRLBOSS to get 3 items free off your first box. That's promo code GIRLBOSS for 3 free Daily Harvest cups at daily-harvest.com. That's DAILY-HARVEST.com. Enter code GIRLBOSS. Thank you. All right, that tasted really good. Back to our interview with Whitney Cummings. Tell me about Two Broke Girls. You're the co-creator, co-writer.
Yeah, I wrote it with Michael Patrick King, who did Sex and the City, who was kind of my hero. The good news for you guys out there is that you can actually work with your heroes if you obsess over them enough and stalk them and shamelessly pander to them. He also made The Comeback, which I think is one of the greatest shows ever. And I got a call that he was looking to write something with someone else, a multicam. And I had I want to say $800 in my bank account. And so I went to Barney's and bought Christian Louboutins because I was
oh my God.
I need him to see the red bottom.
That's amazing.
Right? And I went, but I had to return them the next day. They were called peanut wedges, the little black peanut wedges. They're so ridiculous. And so I walked barefoot to his office because I couldn't get scratches on the bottom of the shoes because I knew I had to return them. So I got into his office and put the shoes on and spent pretty much the whole meeting just trying to make him notice the red soles of my shoes. And I was just so weird. He must have been intrigued. But then we sort of came up with the idea and we had this weird, kind of immediate synergy. And after the meeting, We had totally vibed, and I was so insecure and had such low self-esteem at the time, and I didn't think he would ever hire me, that I just said to him, I was like, hey, I know you're never going to hire me for this, but please, like, when you write it, call me in and I'll do punch-up on it. Like, I would love to participate.
What's punch-up?
Punch-up is like, if you, a lot of times writers will get scripts, like, just put in funny jokes. Like, the script is already written. Here's the script for whatever, I don't know, Bridesmaids was already probably pretty funny. But whatever, some new line script, they just need jokes. And then you do like a punch-up pass just to make it funnier. So I was like, just call me in for punch-up. And he, I think, liked how low my self-esteem was. That makes a great employee.
Wow. So you got a call that he was like, yes, you.
So then I went back in again with like a bunch of ideas. And I think we just sort of vibed. And he actually used to be a stand-up comedian. That's how he started. So stand-up comedians all have sort of vibrate on similar frequency. So I was like, let's just do this. And we were both just as obsessive and perfectionistic as each other. And so we had like a pretty good thing. It's really hard to write with someone else. It's harder than a marriage. It's hard, creative. I mean, it's like creative synergy with someone. It's so rare that your taste fuses with someone else's, and we just had this kind of magical once in a lifetime soulmate thing. And then casting it was a nightmare, and a lot of things were a nightmare. We pitched it to one network who said, can it be two boys?
Oh my God.
One network said, girls don't syndicate. So we had to fight hard to kind of keep it two girls. And then we were sort of casting these, we had a bunch of actresses come in. They all came off too bitchy. We were trying to write these really self-possessed characters who are more interested in like starting businesses and being a girl boss than guys. Every TV show, every girl character protagonist was like, is he going to text me back? Should I get a makeover? What should I do? Do you think he likes me? And I was just like, this is not what any of my friends act like. All of them are starting businesses and blogs and trying to write books and like whatever and trying to be moguls. Like, this just does not reflect so many women's experience. And so we got some resistance that there wasn't a lot of like love story stuff, and there weren't a lot of like a lot of stories about dating. It was all about them trying to make money and to start a business. And then we found these two magical unicorns, Kat Dennings and Beth Bears, and it kind of, like 9,000 miracles have to happen for a pilot to be good. And we, for some reason, had like 8,000.
And so then you had an HBO special.
I did. I did another Comedy Central special after that, and then I did an HBO special after that.
I love the HBO special.
Thank you. That was a big deal. That was a big deal.
Your face was on billboards all over LA.
Yeah. It took me ages to put those up. I worked really hard on those. This is such a weird thing about that. I wore my hair down in it, which is, I've never worn my hair down doing stand-up, and I had this weird thing that was like, I have to make myself masculine when I do stand-up. It was just this hang-up I had where I was like, oh, you can't be masculine and feminine. We talk about this sometimes. Like, can you be masculine and feminine? And if I put my hair down, will the girls in the audience not like me? Will they think I'm like trying too hard? And, and that was actually sort of a big deal for me, wearing heels as well. I had never worn heels doing stand-up. Thank you. But I was like, can you be sexy and fashionable? Like, I had Carla Welsh styled me, and I had like sort of cleavage showing, and I was like really conflicted about doing it because I thought that I had to sort of neuter myself and be androgynous in order to be funny, which I think a lot of women deal with.
Have you since, do you feel like that was a good choice, and have you since changed your choices since?
Kind of, because I think, I was really hung up of like, you can't be feminine and in charge. And then I realized, like, what does feminine even mean? Like, I'm so sexist. Like, I was like, why do I think feminine means like heels and a dress? Like, so I was stuck in this antiquated definition and sort of a semantic, rat king. And do you know what a rat king is?
I love rat kings.
I'm obsessed with rat kings.
If you guys don't know what a rat king is,
this is why I love you. Of course you know what this is. I love you so much.
It's debatable whether or not it's really a thing, but I think it's on Wikipedia.
Oh, it's a thing in London for sure, on the tube.
Why don't you describe it?
A rat king is every relationship I've ever been in.
No.
No, a rat king is when a bunch of rats' tails get knotted together and they try to run away to get out, and it just makes it tighter and tighter, and they get stuck in and then
they poop. Well, they poop, and then the
it
poop
congeals
gets stuck.
them.
Yeah, so it's like when rats are stuck in a confined space.
Yeah.
Poop and their tails get all like tangled
and
together.
And they just get matted.
Dried, and it becomes one giant
massive
Rat king.
Yeah, Rat King. I like how regal the idea of it's a king.
Yeah, I know.
It's so royal.
Why not a rat queen?
I know.
Girl boss.
A girl boss. So whenever I'm in some sort of emotional quagmire, I'm always like, oh, it's such a Rat King of a situation. But yeah, that's what it was, and I don't remember what we were talking about.
What were we talking about? Your outfit.
I looked like a Rat King. My hair got tangled. My hair was in a Rat King. So HBO stand-up special, that was sort of the beginning of me trying to negotiate femininity, being sexual, wearing tight pants or heels, and could I still be taken seriously? And the answer is yes. If someone doesn't take you seriously because you're wearing heels, that means they're 97 years old and hate women.
Well, maybe it's because you're in a place now where you wouldn't let Donald Trump put his hand on your lower back.
Maybe it was a direct
Maybe it's more like psychic
swing.
than like fashion. Maybe
Yeah.
it's more like juju. There's a really good lyric by this band called Pearls Before Swine, and he says, if all that is touching is just what you wear, then I guess that not sharing is the only thing you share. Isn't that sad?
That's heartbreaking.
But it's kind of like, it's a challenge.
I need to go for a
I think
walk.
it's a good challenge.
Process that.
Whitney has a condition called codependence, which she attributes to growing up in a dysfunctional home. She says that she spent much of her life putting other people's needs before her own, and it has been debilitating for her.
I have a lot of addiction in my family. I think we all kind of do. We all have our own addictions. You know, even if it's not alcohol or it's always something. You know, it was like I had one relative who was addicted to cooking and cleaning, and she's always repainting and reorganizing. You know, everyone's got their compulsions and their ways that they get dopamine and escape reality and run from things and are in denial, all that stuff. But I grew up around a lot of denial and a lot of like people pretending things were fine when they weren't. You know, a lot of like under the surface shit. And I think that that's part of the reason I became a comedian, because I was so deprived of being able to speak by truth, you know, because as a child having problems just stressed out people and made them mad at me. So I went into therapy when I realized there was a lot of addiction in my family, and I kind of had to. I also was like chronically cheating on guys because I felt bad, which is makes no sense because it's mean. Like I thought I was doing something nice by just, instead of breaking up with someone, I just would start a relationship with someone else and then just act like a jerk until the person I was with would like leave. And I didn't know how to stop that. I kept blowing up relationships. And so I did go into therapy. And yeah, I mean, I don't do it because it's like fun. I do it like because it's like the gym. There's just kind of no choice. It's the gym for your brain. And my ideas I have and how critical I am of myself is pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it's a constant.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in like a 12-step program, and like, I mean, I'm pretty hardcore about it. Like the ideas I have about what I think is a good choice is really a problem. I also had like I write all about this in the book, but I also had pretty gnarly like eating disorder stuff, like control shit.
As an adult or as a teen?
It started when I was, I don't know, like 11 or 12. I was really, it started with just like, I'll only eat this food for a month. Like it wasn't about fat or calories or being thin. Like I was just like really obsessed with like controlling my food. I mean, when I was younger, I ate a ton. I was alone a lot. Like we didn't really have like structured dinners, and like food was my best friend. I was like a fat kid and just ate fucking Lucky Charms all day. And then as a teenager, it was like a thing. I really started like depriving myself and starving myself. And then when I was like in my early 20s, I started like binging and exercising like addictively. Like I would like eat, and it was really an antisocial thing. I was so scared of people that it was an excuse to sort of stay in, you know, because I would debilitate myself with like eating a bunch and then having to go to the gym for 3 hours. And the gym I went to, I mean, the good news is Jeff Goldblum worked out there. So I got to see him work out in his jeans and loafers. And then I realized like, oh, this is a thing. I mean, my mom tried to send me to therapists and stuff when I was like a teenager, but I was hearing none of it. I tell a story in the book about how I used to play nutritionists. Like I used to, because what they do is the first thing they do if you have like an eating problem or are underweight is they'll make you lay down on a giant sheet of paper and then draw an outline of your body to show you how thin you are. Because when you get so dysmorphic, I mean, we're just so dysmorphic about our bodies. And she would weigh me, and I had to gain a certain amount of weight, like every 2 weeks or something. And I was on this regimen. It was like a whole thing. And before I went in to be weighed, I would drink like 3 bottles of those giant Evian waters. and like drink like 5 pounds of water. So it like seemed like I gained weight. Like it was just like I was insane. And I think I sort of put the pieces together in my late 20s when I was like, oh, this is like a debilitating problem. I was getting horrible migraines, like my hair was falling out, and I was like, this is not cute. This is like cute in your 20s. It's not cute in your 30s. Being bald in your 30s is not a good look.
There's a lot of stuff you can get away with in your 20s.
That's kind of what happened at the end of my 20s. I was like, this isn't going to be cute in a couple of years. Like, I need to get ahead of this.
Whitney asked me to write a review of her new book, I'm Fine and Other Lies, and I said, Whitney Cummings has written a book about being, well, not fine, and what to do when you find yourself with brutal anxiety and a codependency disorder. In all her trademark wit, humor, and honesty, this book, however, is fun as hell. It is. It really is. Let's hear more about Whitney's book.
I wrote a book because I think, and I think you relate to this, or will hopefully relate to this, is like you have all this creative energy, and so much of, I think, when you're creative, the part of success is figuring out what energy should go where. Like, what's a tweet? What's an Instagram post? What's a business? What's a blog? What's a script? What's a stand-up joke? And I had all these sort of stories that weren't quite sort of jokey enough to tell on stage, and actually kind of had too much pathos and were too sad and dark to tell on stage. Like, what's up with my eating disorder? Like, it's a fucking bummer. And like, I'm codependent, and like, I'm in a 12-step program. Like, it's just not like the levity people are going out to pay for on Friday nights on like a date. So I was like, this all stuff feels, I'm so ashamed of it and so embarrassed of it. I'd rather it all go in a place that like you read in the privacy of your own home, and I don't have to like make eye contact with you. Just felt like time. It finally was a time where I wasn't embarrassed about it anymore. I'm still embarrassed, but I didn't have quite as much shame about it. For me, it's a form of like service, because I just wanted to write the book that I wish had been available to me when I was 20. Mm-hmm. Sort of, I had no one around me admitting that they had eating disorders and issues with codependency. And, I wrote like a letter for Lena's company, the Lenny letter, about my codependence, and people were like coming up to me on the street crying, like, I have that. I had no idea there was a name for it. Like, thank you so much for bringing it to my attention. I was like, why don't I, if this is helping people, why don't I write a book about it? I thought it was my job to hide all my flaws and to like be perfect. I thought that was the solution. And then I think once I sort of realized that I had this thing called codependence, and I'd spent most of my life pretending. And once I learned like vulnerability is actually not a weakness, it's incredibly courageous, it's a strength, and nobody gets mad at you when you're vulnerable. People actually like you more, and they're more bonded and connected to you, and they go, oh, thank you for saying that. And you create this like safe space, and so it kind of got addictive, this whole like telling the truth thing. And actually, weirdly, going on podcasts, like doing Marin's show and Rogan's show and all these shows where it's like, I don't know how to be funny in a podcast. It's just weird, It's like, it forces a lot of comedians to be vulnerable and tell the truth. And I started telling these kind of like stories about my mental health struggles, and I got this amazing response from people, and I was like, oh, I had no idea you guys wanted to hear about this. I thought you just wanted me to tell dick jokes. Like, I didn't realize that people wanted to hear about your flaws and your brokenness and your struggles. Like, I thought we were supposed to hide all those.
So interesting. So I want to talk about failure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What have you failed at?
Oh, God. What do you mean? I fail like 100 times a day. I mean, I wrote 6 pilots before I got one picked up. And then I got a couple picked up, and they never went to air. They never got shot. It's tricky. It's like I feel like I fail 100 times a day in terms of my interactions with people, and I should have said this, and I should have said that, and I should have been more graceful, or I should have been less graceful, or the codependent brain is just constant self-observation and constant self-criticism.
What do you think failure is? How do you even define failure?
Well, because I'm in a 12-step program, there's no such thing as failure. But, for me, I now understand that every failure I've ever had built a muscle that, I really value now, and that I think now I see failures more as just rerouting my journey of like, no, the universe didn't want me to do that thing, or it protects me from my bad choices. For me, failure is now when I'm doing something I love, because, we're in this situation where we get to do what we actually want to do, which is a miracle. And I feel my day is a failure when I've forgotten that, and when I'm not in gratitude, when I'm complaining about something that's so fucking bratty or so like delusional when I'm just like I mean, I'm working on Roseanne right now, which is, you know, was my favorite show growing up. And when I'm like, oh God, I have to work till 6:00 on the greatest show ever that changed my life and that, you know, made me want to get into comedy. And I'm just like, okay, easy. Like, let's just like bird's eye view, get some perspective and some fucking gratitude, you entitled, obnoxious brat. I think it's just forgetting how incredibly great my life is and not being present.
Success has so many different meanings at different times in our lives. I asked Whitney to tell me what success means to her.
I think success is being in gratitude and being present in whatever the thing is that I'm doing.
The flip side.
That could literally be having coffee with a friend or, you know, hanging out with my dogs or whatever. And also trusting my gut. I think it's really hard for me to trust my gut, and I get really into what other people wanted. And like when I directed a movie, it was a lot of like, this is the actor I want, but everybody else wants this person. But I know like trusting my gut on that and my taste, you know, because these people aren't the ones that have to answer for it and have to sit in an edit bay for 8 months, you know, like I should do. It's really doing what I want to do on my terms, you know, and not worrying what other people think and having the courage to have uncomfortable conversations and disagree with people. That's when I know that's when I feel successful at something. Instead of just being like, okay, well, the producer wants me to do this and the casting director wants me to do this, so I guess I'll just like compromise. That's failure. Success is when I was like, everybody disagreed with me, but I trusted my gut anyway.
Speaking of courage, you've made a career being on a stage, talking at a group of people for like an hour.
So
that's so hard.
Really? You do it?
No, I'm going to like a
that.
workshop to figure out how to do it. I do Q&As. I sit down and I'm like, okay, interview me. I can't stand up and just talk. I cannot.
You know that we're biologically wired not to be able to do that.
I need some tips, and so does our audience.
But basically, I think it's knowing why it's so scary might be helpful, which is like, so we're designed to be in tribes, right? And conforming is safe for us, like the herd mentality. So it used to be in tribal times, if you were facing a group of people and they were all staring at you, i.e. public speaking, that meant that you had been exiled from the tribe in some way and were probably about to get killed. I mean, your amygdala does think it's like a life or death situation. So as soon as you're able to like deactivate the belief system of like, oh, this is so scary, my life is at stake, that might also help. It's really hard. I mean, I think for me, I was so emotionally numb when I started doing stand-up. It's way scarier for me now that I'm like emotionally awake. And I'm like, this is a nightmare. Like, it's like,
how'd I get here?
Yeah, what am I doing? This is scary. Like the older I get and the more vulnerable I get and the more I sort of melt all of the defense mechanisms. Like, I'm like, oh God. And I also think the pressure gets more intense the higher people's expectations for how funny you are. So I actually feel like more nervous than I've ever felt when I perform now. But, you know, I think it's just, you know, a lot of comedians, and maybe they don't admit this, or maybe I'm the only one who thinks this, but it's a tremendous amount of work to make it look kind of easy. Like, I always have 9 backup plans if something's not going well, you know?
Like if people aren't laughing?
Yeah, or if something's, if something's not resonating, or, you know, it's just like I have so many safety nets. Like, you don't just go out with one game plan, you know? It's like when you do stand-up long enough, you sort of have plan B and plan C and plan E. And it's also, I did it every night, 3-4 spots a night for 7 years. It takes a tremendous amount of, I think, practice to do stand up, you know? If you're trying to get a laugh every 20 seconds, like that's just going to be
Is that a metric, like 20 seconds?
That's kind of mine. Yeah, it changes as I get more confident and I sort of realize vulnerability is also valued by people, and maybe my audience isn't just expecting me to make them laugh every 20 seconds for an hour. I have a little more courage to take some time to not be funny and just be present and honest and set up jokes more and tell stories. But yeah, I mean, if you're not needing to make someone laugh every 20 seconds, it's like you can totally, that's achievable. I think that making someone laugh every 20, that's like a 10,000 hours thing, you know, to sustainably do it.
Do you think that codependency in some way is why you got into comedy?
100%.
To make people laugh?
100%. I spent my entire childhood adulthood too, teenagehood, all of it, like so obsessed with being liked, you know, besides the fact that my last name is Cummings and I constantly had to defend myself and humor was the way to do it. I mean, humor is a very violent thing, you know, it's a weapon, really. We have this idea that it's this like comedians are these like quirky clowns, but like it's a tool to defend or attack. You know, when comedians say make people laugh or do well, they say I killed, I destroyed, I annihilated. Like those are the terms we use. If we don't, it's an act of violence against your audience. You're having to, you know, make them laugh into submission. It's a very aggressive thing. We're very emotionally violent people. And so, yes, and I definitely spent my whole life, I think, performing and trying to make people laugh and like me because I never thought I was enough. I never thought I would just have a conversation with someone like this and that anyone would want to engage in it because my self-worth was so low. I definitely get less funny as I get older. The more I try to make someone laugh, usually
the more self-aware you are.
Yeah, because I know it. But when I'm trying to make someone laugh, it's because I don't think I'm enough without entertaining them. That's usually what's going on. When I feel safe and if we're just hanging out, I can be funny.
You're funny. You're super funny.
But I don't feel the need to be funny when I'm not on stage anymore. But yeah, it's tricky. I think for me, it's like all about finding the behaviors you start doing when you're feeling fear or when you're recreating your childhood circumstances and cutting that shit out.
So we have this thing called Girl Boss Moments, which is kind of like a Hallmark moment. Hallmark should just sponsor this podcast, but
Hallmark, why are you sleeping on this shit?
I know, guys. And it's just the time in your week where you felt like you were in charge of your life or did something for yourself, a moment
something bossy
of your own. What was your most recent girl boss moment?
Oh, God, I have a lot of these. I like this. I like that I have like a couple things coming to mind. That must be that I'm doing something right. I actually have to say, I feel like I sort of had a girl boss moment before I came in here with your producer because I really want to be on. I'm really very punctual person. I'm really into I'm like, if you're on time, you're late type of person and like to respect other people's time. And I know you're busy, but I had not eaten and I knew I had low blood sugar. And I was like, I need to go to a vending machine. Like, do you guys have any food? And he was like, no. And I was like, I need to find a vending machine. And then I went to this vending machine and I had to have $1 and I didn't have $1. And I just kept putting my self-care first and not feeling the pressure of like, I have to be on time and I have to like get in there. I was like, I'd rather have eaten something and like be cogent and present. And
you were on time.
I was still on time. I was like a couple of minutes late. Like just taking care of myself is a girl boss moment. Like eating when I'm hungry, grabbing a snack before a meeting. Like that, it's so small and stupid. But I used to think it was like, so you skip lunch and you just drink coffee all day. That's a girl boss. Someone who's just like so busy that I don't even have time to eat. And I was just like, well, sleep when I'm dead.
That's Sex in the City girl boss.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a new era.
But it's like sleeping 8 hours is a girl boss thing for me. Being like, you know what, leaving dinner because it's like, I got to get home because I have to sleep. Not unnecessarily martyring myself for the comfort of others or to be perceived as needless is a girl boss thing for me.
That's amazing.
You know, like eating 3 meals a day and, you know, taking care of
normal human shit.
Yeah.
In this world, those are girl boss moments.
I think so.
So your book, where can we find it?
We can find it. Where do you find? But you know,
wherever books are sold.
Wherever fine books are sold.
And it's called?
It's called I'm Fine and Other Lies. I don't know, Amazon?
Everywhere.
It's wherever Sophia's books are available. It will say users who bought this item also bought.
We'll just put them together.
I hope. Let's just put them in a bundle.
Big thank you to Whitney Cummings for coming on the podcast today. And go get her book, I'm Fine and Other Lies, because it is a great read. And if you had fun with me and Whitney and Jericho on this crazy, hysterically funny journey today, check out girlboss.com. Follow us on all of our socials at girlboss. Follow me at Sophia Amoruso. And subscribe to this podcast because it matters a lot to us. So subscribe, tell your friends about Girl Boss Radio, and we'll see you next week.